First off, guys, I want to say thank you for bringing me out of like a year-long slump. You guys are participating, asking the questions, communicating, and I appreciate all that. That's the main reason why I like doing YouTube, is why I like being a content creator. Not so much for seeing the subscriber count grow or the view count grow, simply for being able to have conversations, starting conversations, and being able to interact with people. That's why I like doing it. Again, the things that I enjoy doing, nobody that I know shares these interests, or nobody that I communicate with on a regular shares the same things that I do. So the only time I get to talk to people about the things that I enjoy is when I'm posting on YouTube and getting responses. The reason why I'm making this one is from Joe. Dropped a question earlier today. What are your thoughts on the Honda game? You think it's dying down? And my first knee-jerk initial immediate response was, yeah, I do think it is. But I was like, well, let me hold myself back here and actually take a look around and actually think about this a little bit to give like a proper answer, and also to think about what I really feel about the topic in general. So I live in South Florida, and Miami used to be the home of like a massive Honda scene. And I know from my traveling to both Honda days in New Hampshire and in Maryland, that being told that most of the fastest guys in the game come from Florida. With that being said, just thinking about the cars I've seen on the road, and I can say that I've noticed a huge absence of modified older Hondas, and I don't really see so much modifications of newer Hondas, although you do see a lot of like enthusiast style Hondas that you would on the road, right? So now from that being said, like, what do I notice on the road actually being driven? Now let's go to content wise, right? Content wise, because even though I feel, there's some bias here that Florida is one of the biggest Honda scenes probably in the country. What else could I look to for evidence to whether the game has fallen off or not? So I went to YouTube and I started going through my subscribers, or not subscribers, but my subs, the channels and shit that I used to watch. And I haven't done like a YouTube subscription purge in like fucking 10 years. So I decided, well, let me just go through and kick off a whole bunch of shit that I don't really pay attention to, or the bullshit that my daughter subscribed to. And just take a look at some of the channels that are like Honda or car enthusiast channels. And yeah, I see the channels that are like Honda dedicated, Honda specific. For the most part, they're like me. Their subscriber counts have frozen right around what I remember them being at, and also the output is drastically decreased. And the channels that a few channels that are still going strong there's two things I've noticed. Either they were able to break through entirely, meaning they have like a massive subscriber following, or they've just completely changed up and they're not really Honda specific. If you start scrolling through their videos, you don't really see any Hondas in the uploads. So then the last check I did was going to That Dude in Blue, and looking at his reviews, and even he's changed up his format recently. And once upon a time, years ago, I kind of criticized him for not doing this, and he did it a couple years ago. I say a couple years ago, like 5 or 6 years ago, I criticized the channel for not really changing or evolving, and he did break through by doing like what I do, or just sitting and talking about things. And it seems like it's been very successful for him. Even I started watching again because I'd prefer seeing stuff like that than just a basic car review over and over again. But just going through the list of reviews, just going to clicking videos and scrolling down, you don't really see very many Hondas there. Towards the top, you see there's a 1,000 horsepower sleeper minivan, but I think that's the Boosted Boys van. And then there's an Integra, which, of course, a new car. So what do I think? Why do I think this is happening? Well, first off, I want to say is one simple, obvious thing, that even in 2015 or 16, when this channel really started to pop off, I knew that it was finite. Like, I knew that there was only going to be so much of that content I was able to push out before it would just die down. And I also knew that I would never just push content just to keep the channel going, because that could make you not grow easily either. I think my VHP Engines has like almost 900 videos. And that's all stuff that, for the most part, I think legit helpful. There's some fluff in there, but for the most part, I think it's, decent content. Now, unfortunately, I did not make enough to push through it. I had those 2 good years during the pandemic when everybody had all the extra money, but yeah, I stopped making content, and I figured that the engine building would continue, and it didn't. As I stopped making content, the orders stopped coming as often, and even though I still get a decent amount of views, like I think my regular viewership on VHP Engines is like 9,000 to 10,000 views a week, and or maybe that's a little high. Maybe that's over a course. Okay, that's high. That's 9,000 to 10,000 views over a course of every 28 days, and I'm still making money off YouTube. Every couple of months, I make like $100. So the viewership is still there. The subscription is still on the upward trend for the most part, not the downward. Although now that I've actually paid attention to the channel, like really paid attention the past couple of days, I've seen that I went up a couple and dropped off a couple. So, it's whatever. But it's slowly still trending upwards. Although I think that it is very much stalled out. I'm at like 14,000 subscribers. I think I've been there for over a year, when I used to average 1,000 subs a year or something like that. And 1,000 subscribers is not really that great. But at the same time, I got to give myself a little pat on the back, especially when I look around and see where most of the channels are at, if they didn't already pop off. Like the big channels that were big while I was coming up, are still like right around where they're at. They're kind of frozen. And most of the channels that were starting off around my time, or came up right after me, most of those guys haven't really passed me up. So I guess I give myself a little pat on the back. And I still think that out of all the shit that I've done, mine stays pretty relevant because it's universal. It's more like, hey, what can we do for building an engine that's not just a, hey, this is a car I want to showcase that I'm building type deal. No, why do I think it's dying off? And I'm sorry if I've repeated myself a couple times here. You remember, guys, I don't do scripts. I'm just talking off the head, so forgive me. But what I think is happening is we're caught in a weird like epoch here, where the 90s generation cars, especially depending on where you live, are maybe not as readily available anymore, even though I did see prices starting to come back down on that. And then I think a lot of people from my generation are moving into buying newer cars. Not because so much that you grow out of being a car enthusiast or whatnot, because I definitely have it. But being a car enthusiast is expensive. Even though things are a lot cheaper now than they were back in my earlier years, I think the knowledge overall just really isn't there still. And just for an example, like if people are still commenting on my K24 or K20 heads or whatever, people still talk about doing head swaps or K24s. And most of these people are doing these things without even understanding the nuances of the reason why it became a popular thing to begin with. Meaning as in, depending on what kind of build you're doing, you really don't have to do that head swap. So my generation of guys are going to buy newer cars simply because of the fact that it's just easier to jump in something that's already, very well balanced, got decent amount of power, and you don't really have to do anything to it. Modifying cars is fun, but once you already have a family and you got responsibilities, you can't really spend hours fucking with a car. You need something to drive, to go to and from work that's reliable, that's already got the power you need. We don't really have that time for the project cars anymore. So you just jump into something that's well balanced and maybe not super powerful, but strong enough where you're not going to get bored. Which is exactly what I did with the Type R, and which is why I talked about the Type R being the best car I've ever owned in my life, despite the fact that I've had plenty of cars that are faster than it. And also, I think that my generation of guys are still probably heavily influencing the scene, whatever remains of it, and that our biases are probably holding it back from opening up to another generation of guys that could come in and take over. The K-Series world, I'm going to say, maybe hasn't gotten the kind of love that it should have gotten. And before you say that's crazy, everybody builds K-Series and all that shit, yes and no. A lot of progress has been made with the Ks, the crazy records and things that they've done. But the problem is when I talk to enthusiasts on the regular, when I regularly talk to enthusiasts, people still regard the K series as being too hard or too expensive. When you could very much easily argue that the expensive part is not an issue at all anymore. Like the K series is the same, if not cheaper, than the B. I think the only engine that you could say that is for real cheaper than the K is the D. At least the last time I checked, and that might not be the same case anymore. So I still think that you have people chasing after B and D series builds, and because those cars are getting harder to come by and whatnot, and even healthy engines or whatnot for most people, because not everybody's an engine builder, so most people are looking for a second-hand market engine that they can just throw into a car, you know. And then if you're not an engine builder, that means you got to pay somebody to build an engine, because these engines are no longer at the health level that used to be at. So finding a healthy one is becoming harder. So while you can find them cheaper, they may not be in great shape. And if you don't know how to engine build, you got to pay somebody, and you're looking at something that used to be cheap and quick. You know, just throw a B16 in it, throw a GSR in it, throw it, you know, whatever in it right quick, and just run that, which is what we used to do back in the day. Now more often than not, you're going to get something with an issue, and it's not going to be a healthy engine. So while my generation may still be influencing the whole K thing, saying that K is too much, people are still chasing things and either not having success or, you know, with the build or what they're finding, or finding out that on the backside it's actually just as hard, if not harder, than a K series would be. So yeah, that's pretty much what I think it is. I think that if we take a step back and let the K series breathe a little bit more, and have another generation that really jumps in to start making K budget cars, we're gonna see it fall off, because I think that the modern cars are a kind of a problem, kind of like for what I talked about the other day with the Honda L engine. The modern day SI would be the new car that a younger enthusiast would be looking to jump into, and you want to modify your car. So even if you can modify your new car, it's dangerous to do so, because that car is just not that strong as compared to what my generation's was, right? So if you're a younger enthusiast, you don't really have a lot of money, but you have enough money to buy an SI, maybe used, you know, or maybe a new one, and you start modifying this car, and then boom, it blows up on you. That kind of is going to sour your whole experience for wanting to do in a car. So you're just going to want to, you may even jump the brand entirely. Imagine being like 22, 23 years old, 21 years old, you're saving up your money, you're doing good at work, and you jump into an SI, then now you're finally got your car, it's your first car, you start modifying it, people hype you up, oh yeah, you can throw 300, 350 horsepower at this car, you do that, and then it fucking explodes. Now, your warranty's gone, and you gotta fucking get an engine for this car. So now, instead of enjoying this fast car that you modified, thinking it's gonna be great, you're gonna be having Type R speeds, now you're looking for somebody that can swap you another engine, find you another engine, swap you another engine, and then pay for all this shit while you're still making a car note, and now you need another car, and you're young, so it can quickly and easily become a nightmare of a situation. So yeah, I could definitely see why the Honda side might just be falling off, because like I said in that video again the other day, you know, I know people who have jumped ship to go with other brands that are just easier and more reliable to deal with. Plus, because of all of the, you know, the fucking global warming shit, emissions crap that's being shoved down everybody's fucking throat all the time, Honda is, you know, pushing towards electric. I believe they said the FL5 is going to be like their last Type R, or at least their last gas-powered Type R, because they're going to be going all electric with their brand. Again, I don't think that's true. I think that's bullshit. I think that everybody's eventually going to wake up and realize that combustion engines are still the future. But, you know, we may lose a whole generation of people while they're bullshitting, realizing, until they come to the realization that the car is not going to work, or that's not going to be their only path to the future. I think that we may lose, you know, the next 2 or 3, you know, gens of cars. You know, we're on the 11th gen Civic right now. Maybe the 12th and the 13th are going to be gone. They're not going to be enthusiast cars at all, and it's going to be a while before they come back around. You know, fortunately for me, I really don't give a shit that much anymore. You know, I just want something 400 horsepower that's fine for me to go with. And even me looking at modifying the Type R, it's not going to be cheap. It's a crazy expensive, man. Even like a downpipe, you're looking at like a cheap downpipe is like $400 for like a Chinese knockoff. You know, the Flash Pro alone's already $1,000. Then you got a tune you got to worry about. So you're looking at like what, $1,300 to $1,500 off rip. And then you know, even bolt-ons aren't cheap anymore. Like bolt-ons are all fucking stupid expensive unless you buy used, and I don't want to have to go to the used market anymore. So anyway, guys, you know, this is why, like I mentioned in the end of that video, that I made another channel, because I like making content, but I just, you know, and I like building things, but I just, you know, how many engines can I build? How many engines can I have stashed in my house? It doesn't make sense. And I can't sell them. You know, nobody wants to buy this shit. So that's why I went to computers. This mechanic right here learned to code. That's what I did. I learned how to build computers. It's cheaper. It's easier. It's cleaner. You know, and I get to scratch my computer, my building itch, my creator itch. You know, I get to scratch my YouTube itch so I can make content again, and I get to fucking make things with my hands. It's great. You know, hopefully that'll pop off, and you know, hopefully the eventual goals is that I can make enough side money selling computers on the side that where I can use that to roll back into my cars. But in the meantime, you know, I still, like I said, I've said it like for years now. I've had a great regret of buying the S2000. I wish I hadn't bought it. You know, I'm a builder. I'm not a diagnostic tech. And then when I ran into that problem, and I live on the side of a hill. I don't want to work outside, and I want to work in the fucking grass. You know, so I want to get rid of my projects. You know, I keep the Integra just because, you know, but I'd like to stash it somewhere and like store it somewhere until the time comes where I can really afford time to get to it. But guys, you know, not to fucking, you know, play the fucking harmonica and be all sad here, but I ran on hard times again, and it's been a long time. I had a really good stretch, I think, since West Virginia in 2017, but it happened. I ran into a really bad slump, and right now I'm just trying to make it, you know, and hopefully I can get through this, and next year will be better, or at least by this time next year, shit'll be sorted out, and it might be something I talk about, probably won't be, but if it does work out well, you guys will know. But I don't know. My problem is I really want to sell the S2000, but I know how people are here. People are gonna offer fucking pennies. I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna lose my ass on it. You know, like, you know, again. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm right now just kind of ignoring the bad things and just hoping to get through it long enough to where I can get to a situation where I can deal with it. But I've been trapped in this fucking shithole of a house for like 4 or 5 years, and I never wanted to be here to begin with. And it's a long time now. So, again, hopefully things will get sorted out by this time next year, and then I'll have plenty of money that's guaranteed, and then I'll be able to make changes. But even if I, crank out the money and I do a couple of project cars, I seriously doubt that VHP engines will ever be on the high side that it used to be. But I mean, like, again, if I can get to the point where I can start making Type R content, or I can do that on a regular, but just a quick search on eBay the other day is like, nope, that's not happening. So I don't know. More likely what it'll be is I might, who knows, I might even like, the idea and the goal is just to pay off the Type R for the immediate future, and then see where I am financially, credit wise, after the car is paid for, and then make a decision when I go there. I might buy a Supra, or I might buy an Integra. Who knows? My opinion is swung on that pretty hard. Or I might even buy a fucking truck, or I might not buy anything at all. I don't know. It all depends on, situation when the time comes. So this is a topic that I'd like to talk about with other people. There's a couple of other friends of mine that I have that are content creators that I'd like to maybe jump in on some kind of video call and see if we could all share our thoughts on it and because I know that other people have their opinions on it as well, but this is just from what I can see and for my reasons, or why I kind of fell off as well. Sorry guys, I can't guarantee that I'm gonna keep making videos right now based on comments, but I mean, you throw them out there. Like, I have another video that I'm kind of thinking about talking about for the P8R head, because I have some relative shit that are relevant shit that I could add about that, based on that B20 Circle Track engine that got built. But in the meantime, guys, I appreciate y'all being here, especially you fucking gangsters that manage to finish whole videos. Why don't you give the fucking fist bump and the glasses fucking emoji? You made it to the end of the video. I've never asked, goddammit, I've never asked. It'd be cool as fuck to see some of you guys actually make it to the end of these. I don't think it's many of you. I mean, God, we can see the statistics on YouTube, how often or how far you view a video. But yeah, guys, I appreciate it. And again, another shameless plug for VHB Gaming. If you want to see where I'm at on YouTube, that it's where I'm at now. It's making, like I said, similar content to what I do here, and game stuff. So if you are interested also in learning how to code, or if you're looking into getting a computer but you don't want to spend your ass on it, I got you covered. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you all again. Peace.